Welcome to Steelers Nation Central. Today we have several updates and speculations regarding the Steelers to discuss. To begin, let's talk about the situation of a significant player. There are more and more indications coming from people close to him who claim that he is expected to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers soon. We'll start this discussion with this topic. Next, there will be a debate on social media regarding an issue related to the coach in the organization, which is being considered completely absurd. Afterward, we will close today's show with a veteran defender who is seeking an opportunity in the NFL's free agency. I will reveal who this veteran is shortly. But before we get started, it's important for you to follow me on Platform X if you haven't already. I deeply appreciate the support. I'm sharing all my content about the Steelers there. We also plan to release several videos in the coming weeks and months as we prepare for the 2025 season. And I have more. Everyone who follows me today will receive a mention on the live Steelers talk show on Thursday. So thank you very much for the support. Now, let's dive into today's updates and rumors. First, the player's situation. Several sources close to him confirm or at least suggest that he will sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers soon, either before or shortly after the start of the organized team activities. Let's start by talking about the coach of a major team who has a close relationship with the player, having been his coach for several seasons, and what he said about the possibility of the player joining Pittsburgh. It's hard to imagine him not playing football this year, and Pittsburgh seems like the ideal place. Over the years, the coach has shown great respect for many, especially those who play a central role in the team. It's likely that this transition to the Steelers will happen soon. Additionally, the player's biographer, who has written about several sports personalities, mentioned that he expects the signing with the Steelers to happen soon. He brought up the fact that he doesn't provide daily updates about the player's life, but keeps in sporadic contact. What he perceives is that he's aware of the personal challenges the player is facing, which should not prevent him from playing. He hinted that behind the scenes, the player has been communicating with the Steelers, stating that he intends to play but doesn't want to show up and miss part of the mandatory minicamp due to personal issues. The biographer is convinced that these challenges will be overcome by the end of May, at least enough for the player to fully commit. That's the current view. To put things in context, the Steelers' organized team activities will begin next week, on Tuesday, May 27th. Personally, it would be great to see him there from the start of these activities. Furthermore, the mandatory minicamp represents another key date to keep an eye on, as fans are eagerly awaiting it. My expectation regarding the player and the organized team activities is that he will be there, at least for a significant part of them, so that he can adapt to the team's rhythm and the way the wide receivers run their routes. He can start staying for the majority of the time. His presence is vital to ease the process of becoming acquainted. It enables individuals to adjust to his rhythm and get used to his playing style. He will begin to grasp how the wide receivers navigate their routes, establishing a rapport with the center, who has already been mentioned, and building a connection with a new offensive play caller with whom he has not worked previously is crucial. Therefore, it would be beneficial if this relationship could start during organized team activities when helmets are worn, allowing for scrimmages against the defense and the execution of real football plays, which isn't possible at the outset of the off-season program. Organized team activities are a pivotal period where the quarterback's involvement is essential, and it is hoped that he will fully engage in this part of the off-season program. It has also been pointed out that he acknowledges the significant disappointment in New York and is often viewed as the embodiment of that disappointment. Regardless of whether this perception is fair, it reflects the reality. While it may be optimistic, there is a belief that the outcome could be favorable. Do I envision the team winning the Super Bowl next year? No. However, the possibility of achieving 11 wins and 6 losses with at least one playoff victory is seen as a realistic aim. There is an assertion that this outcome is attainable for the team if they secure the quarterback in question. Last season, the team had a record of 10 wins and 7 losses and made it to the playoffs despite a varied quarterback situation. This roster is considerably stronger than its predecessor. If the quarterback performs at least as a competent starter next year, or even better as a proficient one, there is an expectation they will win double-digit games next year, contingent upon a key defensive player maintaining health, which is crucial. Nevertheless, the belief persists that they will once again reach a double-digit win total. They will qualify for the playoffs, and with this quarterback in place, there's a better chance of securing a playoff victory compared to previous seasons when different players took the helm in playoff games. However, it will be interesting to gather thoughts on the actual percentage chance of achieving a playoff victory. With this particular quarterback, there's a sense that the team's odds of clinching a playoff win have improved compared to previous seasons with past quarterbacks leading in playoff encounters. It would be interesting to share opinions on the percentage likelihood of the team achieving 11 wins and claiming a playoff victory with his quarterback as the starter this year. Rated on a scale from 0, where there's no chance of hitting that target, to 100, indicating a certainty of 11 wins and a playoff win with the starting quarterback. Shortly, information about a relevant topic will be presented. This will serve as the central question for the discussion. As we explore the details, feel free to leave your predictions in the comments about the team's chances of winning at least 11 games and securing a playoff victory with the quarterback leading the way. Now, a viewpoint from a former backup. Quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers suggests that a certain player may have an advantage over the new addition, even if the team were to sign him during the offseason. This viewpoint seems quite far-fetched, yet it is noted that the player does have an advantage when it comes to understanding the offense, having been part of the team in recent months. It's completely irrational to claim that one player has an advantage over another, even if the team decides to bring in a renowned quarterback in a preseason. In my view, this is absurdly illogical, but here are the points raised. An athlete may have some advantage in terms of understanding the offensive scheme, having been part of the team in recent months. As the training season approaches, it seems reasonable to consider that this player may have a slight advantage due to being more familiar with the system compared to the incoming quarterback. It is crucial to clarify, however, that despite the excitement surrounding this player, if a prominent quarterback joins the team, it's highly unlikely that a coach will open up a competition that allows him to fight for the starting position in week 1. Perhaps, if the new quarterback performs poorly, this opportunity might arise, or in case of injury, he could be called upon. However, it's clear that if a famous quarterback signs with the team, the coach will almost certainly ensure that the quarterback starts, and this will not be a competition. The player may even be aware of the possibility of a renowned quarterback coming to town. Recently, he gave an interview where he stated that the team shared their plans with him. He mentioned that he was expecting the signing of players and improvements to the roster, as they typically enter training camp with 4 quarterbacks. He acknowledged that he would respect the confidentiality of what was discussed, leaving it to the responsible person to decide when or if a 4th quarterback would be added. This suggests that there were specific discussions about which quarterbacks are being considered for the team. With this in mind, it's good that this player remains with the team. I believe he is a solid backup quarterback and proved in 2023 that he can be relied upon when called upon to contribute to victories. However, the notion that he can directly compete with a renowned quarterback for the starting position seems quite fanciful. I'm convinced that he will remain a reliable backup quarterback for the team for a while. If anyone disagrees, simply analyze the statistics between the two. The renowned quarterback has a significantly higher completion percentage, a higher touchdown rate, and a much lower interception rate. The other player almost reached a 4% interception rate last year, and the quarterback's rating was higher than that of the player in question. It's worth noting that this was a year when many claimed he wasn't playing well and could no longer perform. Even so, his season clearly surpassed what was shown on the field in the previous year. Art Rooney II does not get involved in decisions regarding the team, trusting Mike Tomlin completely to manage those choices. I've noticed that many people have commented that Art Rooney is allowing Mike Tomlin to intimidate or control the team. I think this perception comes from some animosity toward Mike Tomlin. I understand the reasons why some people don't like him or want him out. In fact, I even suggested that the team should move on without him at the end of last season. However, I truly believe that the trust Art Rooney II as the owner places in his professionals to make decisions in the football realm is one of his positive qualities. It's true that Art Rooney II has some flaws as an owner. I don't think he makes the necessary investment in training facilities and other areas. Many people in the league see the Steelers as an organization with a financially conservative management style, which reflects in ownership. However, when it comes to the operational side of football, the team has always allowed the general manager and head coach to make the relevant decisions. This is an aspect I see as favorable in the organization of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Owners who intervene like Dan Snyder or the former Washington football team or Jerry Jones, who like to make decisions for their teams, often face constant difficulties in the NFL, especially when it comes to achieving lasting success, as the Pittsburgh Steelers have experienced in recent seasons. Art Rooney doesn't act this way. He stays at a distance and allows Omar Khan or Mike Tomlin, regardless of who the general manager and head coach are, to make the team's choices because they really understand the subject. On the other hand, interventions can harm the organization, as we've seen with the Dallas Cowboys. The Steelers don't face this issue. It's beneficial that Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan are allowed to make the decisions for the team. However, this doesn't mean that Mike Tomlin has done an exceptional job in building this team. I've criticized Tomlin's defensive approach in team building and how I believe this strategy has limited the team's performance in recent years. I don't think it's viable to build a team starting with the defense and then moving to the offense while aiming for true success. This is an offense-oriented league, and it's crucial to invest in that sector. In fact, this offseason, the team has taken steps by signing a receiver for $30 million annually. So it seems they're on the right track to solving the situation in Pittsburgh, but it's not like the coach is the best team builder in the league, although I maintain that allowing him and the general manager to make the decisions is the right choice. After hearing all this, I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you think the coach is an effective team builder? Just answer yes or no. I'm curious to hear your responses. Now let's move on to our final topic, which concerns a veteran defensive tackle, a longtime starter in the league who is seeking an opportunity with the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason. He has expressed his desire to be part of the team. He mentioned that he's a defensive player and wants to join a team that focuses on that area. He understands that there are many uncertainties, but he is willing to join. He values the organization and the opportunity to be part of it. This shows how, with a defensive mentality, it's essential to align with a team that shares that same approach. So the player really shows interest in joining the Pittsburgh Steelers. At 35 years old, he is getting up in age, but stands 6 feet 4 inches tall and weighs 315 pounds. He has played for several teams throughout his career in the National Football League, but last year he only participated in 4 games for the Cincinnati Bengals, 2 of which as a starter. For a player his age, this raises questions about his physical condition and his potential contribution to a new team. At 35 years old and weighing about 315 pounds, he brings with him experience, having been a starter for several teams in the National Football League. However, last year, he played in only 4 games with the Cincinnati Bengals, 2 of which as a starter. For an athlete in this age group, who has clearly seen a decrease in agility, the question arises about his potential use on the Steelers' defensive line. Currently, Cam Hayward, Keanu Benson, and Derek Harmon are the main names considered for this season. Recently, the team also drafted Y.A. Black from Iowa, and there are good expectations regarding Daniel Akwal, a player acquired through free agency. Additionally, Logan Lee was selected last season, and Dean Lowry, who joined the team last year, is also highly regarded. Will Isaiah Loudermilk was re-signed, providing a variety of options for the defensive line, whose depth in Pittsburgh is truly impressive. In the end, Lawrence Guy is a former starter who could offer good run blocking ability. If he's willing to join the Steelers and compete for a starting spot or at least a spot in a defensive line rotation, it could be advantageous for him to accept a veteran minimum contract. Why not allow him to compete for a position? He has already proven his value in the league, and with a contract of that caliber, he could be a valuable addition to the group, allowing the best player to stand out during practices in Latrobe. Therefore, it's worth considering his signing and evaluating whether he should be part of this defensive group. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a stunning move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, the Cleveland Browns have reportedly confirmed the trade of quarterback Deshaun Watson to their AFC North rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The deal, still being finalized, involves a package of high-value draft picks going to the Browns in exchange for the controversial but undeniably talented quarterback. Watson's tenure in Cleveland has been marred by inconsistency and off-the-field issues, including a lengthy suspension and ongoing criticism from both fans and analysts. Despite flashes of brilliance on the field, he never truly lived up to the massive expectations that followed his blockbuster trade from the Houston Texans and the fully guaranteed $230 million contract that came with it. Now Watson finds himself with a fresh start in Pittsburgh, a franchise known for its stability, tradition, and no-nonsense culture under head coach Mike Tomlin. The Steelers have been searching for a long-term answer at quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger's retirement, experimenting with a rotation that included Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph. With Watson in the building, Pittsburgh sends a clear signal that it is ready to compete at the highest level once again. Sources close to the Browns front office suggest that the team was eager to move on from Watson, aiming to reset its roster and salary cap situation. The incoming draft picks, reported to include at least a first rounder and multiple day 2 selections, will be crucial in building a new core for the franchise. Reaction around the league has been mixed. Some applaud the Browns for cutting their losses and acquiring valuable assets, while others criticize the decision to trade Watson within the division. Meanwhile, Steelers fans are divided between excitement over acquiring a proven talent and concern over Watson's past controversies. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. The AFC North just got even more intense. Watson's arrival in Pittsburgh adds a new layer to one of the NFL's fiercest rivalries, and all eyes will be on his first matchup against the Browns. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.